Hi, Bats.
So
Hello.
being late. So, let's focus this small meeting today to maybe put in a formal structure for subsequent governance calls and to set a schedule on maybe how many gov calls do we want per each governance epoch, how to book them at what times, and stuff like that. And of course, maybe due to not announcing this properly and stuff like that, we should probably also kind of book another one for the next week or the 2 weeks from now, and also make sense to kind of have a sufficient sample size of the new tokenomics for a couple more weeks, and then kind of dive deep into see how things are going on that end. And yeah, but the general idea for today is basically that to discuss the structure of future governance calls, maybe to discuss breakouts, TIP for a cross-bridge support briefly, LP incentives tapering, how to look forward in time, like what we want to do broadly with LP incentives, and discuss deployment of speed markets on ZK Sync, and of course the elephant in the room, the new tokenomics and the start of the so-called protocol rewards. And then maybe we also can find the time to touch upon the Thales IO progress, which is the new front end. I don't know if you caught the teaser in the recent tokenomics blog post for that. So yeah, let's kick it off with the MetaGov stuff, the governance call structure and stuff like that. So basically, the epoch runs for 4 months. Is that correct? So this epoch and this council will be live from January until April. And I want to hear from you guys briefly, like, how do you guys feel? Like, what's the proper frequency for governance calls for, to find a balance between being active with the community and also kind of frequently discussing protocol related stuff, So, yeah, what do you think, Cyberduck? Let's start from you.
So we used to have, not sure if we still have these Friday calls where there's just a lot of freestyle discussion on a lot of topics. And I was wondering if we could potentially kind of like merge governance calls with those freestyle calls. Maybe not have them a weekly, but maybe have them on like a bi-weekly cadence. And not on a Friday, 5 p.m. Europe time where most people head out.
Yeah, maybe bi-weekly is perfectly fine.
So something like in the middle of the week, like today or on Wednesdays, where we meet at a time that works for most time zones, and we discuss things happening on Thales, but also like the macro stuff as well. Maybe things happening on the OP superchain stack, and just basically discuss governance and DeFi stuff.
Yeah, Wednesday claim day, like right after the claims, we all group up every 2 weeks and discuss how much money we got.
Something like that.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
LFG.
Yes, I think weekly frequency is okay for this.
Yeah, absolutely. The one question came into my mind as I sometimes join the Quenta government call, like they actually discuss every AIP they have, and for Thales, I don't really see a reason for it or even the time for it, because we discuss a lot as the all council members, the all members, like discussing a lot, and most tips are voted in within a week after kind of presenting or like releasing. So I'm not sure if that is clever, but open to hear an opinion from you guys.
Yeah, I would say the bi-weekly is a great frequency, and we can discuss the bigger tips, because like not maybe like we do in Quenta, every KIP is discussed on these kind of weekly calls, but yeah, to discuss the bigger topics every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that there are tips that are a little bit easier to just chat about in Discord, but I feel like some tips may be better to just have a conversation on more complex things and more like high profile, high impact. The cadence seems fine to me, 2 weeks, whether it's Wednesdays or other days. I think, it can be up for discussion. I don't know how everybody's time zone is. I'm in the US. I think most of you are in Europe. I think it's going to be easy enough to find a time that works for everybody.
Yeah, and there's always stuff happening with Thales. So every 2 weeks, there are probably every 2 weeks we have plenty of new topics to talk about. So yeah, let's do like every 2 weeks. Then the next one would be like, do we stick with Wednesdays? Like, let's aim for February 7th, somewhere around this time, maybe 4 or 5 p.m. UTC. And this is like maybe the council, when the new council is elected, I guess everyone has like, same time every 2 weeks that suits them. Like, it's what I want to say is per epoch based, like what times to agree, do people agree upon? So do you guys feel like maybe 4 or 5 p.m. UTC on every second Wednesday is okay? So we can already book the next one. Like, do we book, like, let's do Wednesday, 7th February, 5 p.m. UTC. Does that work for you guys?
Works for me.
Nice. So, okay.
Yeah, I think that having the predictability in the scheduling, that's going to be good for everybody. So we can just establish this as cadence. And then, if for some reason majority of people cannot make it that one day, then we just move it. But
yeah, I agree. And then like more active announcements, more active writing of the agenda, basically more structure will entail. So yeah, let's start this year like properly, and let's start on a more serious note for the governance, big stuff ahead. So yeah, we agreed on that one. We will have governance call every 2 weeks on Wednesdays, and let's say 5 p.m. UTC every second Wednesday, and the next Gov call will be February 7th. So that's it with the first point from agenda, and maybe we could touch upon the latest TIP from Breakout, which is integrating a cross bridge into Thales. We already kind of settled on some stuff on the chat room, and yeah, maybe we could just put breakout for a minute on the stage, so he can give us some intro on the TIP, give some brief on it, so for people who didn't read on it, and then we can maybe briefly just comment on it and see where we go with it. Is it okay?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Breakout.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, okay. So actually, I withdrawn this TIP, too much resistance. So I gave up, but I give a summary. Okay.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, go ahead.
So the reasoning for this TIP is actually I had lots of problems with the current bridge with the seller. And then, my problem was the geolocation. So you guys fixed it, and then you use the contract directly to fix and bypass the geolocation issue. But it caused lots of problems, I think, for the users. So I lost my trust on seller. And then another point was the higher fees. No, I mean, other people use the seller says that they're having lower fees, but as per my experience so far, Across is the best in terms of to breach from any chain, as far as I experienced. So that was my proposal actually, to put a better breach for us for the Thales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah,
Kind of not
that makes
have
sense.
like a
Kind of
single
not
point of
have
failure.
like a single point of failure.
And yeah,
Yeah, and then the last time, the communication with the seller team was not the best. And then if any other issues in the future, that would be terrible for us. It was quite, I think, painful when we had just released the base as a new chain, and then there is no way to send the base chain, the new tokens. So most people had a hard time about it.
yeah,
So we should consider in future maybe like a better chain. I mean, it doesn't have to be across, but as far as I experienced, that was the best one in the market currently.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's the reasoning.
And I have like a feedback.
I have like a
I
feedback.
can hear myself
I can hear
from your
myself
speakers.
from your speakers.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Yeah, just like
Mute.
Okay, sorry. I'm not joining the calls for a long time, so
yeah. As long as we discuss the across stuff. So yeah, basically my feedback on this proposal is that it makes perfect sense to not hold all of the eggs in a single basket of seller, especially the move they did with geolocation, geo-blocking and stuff like that, and who knows if they start to mess with the integrations and stuff like that. So you never know. But I think right now, the contentious topic that we still didn't mention was how much funds do we keep in a bridge? Like if we are using across and seller, like how much of Thales are we comfortable with locking in total in both protocols? And or do we just fully go to across, so because you need to, as a treasury, we need to lock up a certain amount of Thales on each chain to a certain degree to allow people to kind of bridge with these locks and releases type of bridges. That's the first contentious point. The second one is right now we have cross-chain like synchronization with CCIP, and now there is not much frequency in bridging at the moment as we had previously, because now there is nothing to chase across chains, maybe especially except maybe LP rewards from, LPing into Camelot or Aerodrome or Velodrome, like between Optimism, Arbitrum and Base. But, there is not much demand for those type of bridging also right now, and that's why maybe it makes sense to hold and wait and see if there is a better architecture for bridging Thales with CCIP, maybe, or something similar, and we are not kind of held against the wall to have to aggressively deploy another bridging solutions, have all these treasury logistics and stuff like that. So that's basically where I am with my feedback, and as I said in the TIP chat room, we can just put it on hold for now and see where we go from now, how the bridging behaves with the new tokenomics, if the seller is causing issues, if it's running out of liquidity often, let's see where we are before deciding to integrate a completely new one. And that's basically it. But it does make sense, like if we don't figure out a new, maybe mint and burn architecture or using CCIP for lock and unlock, then it makes perfect sense to vote it in and push for a cross as well. But maybe it makes more sense to maybe do a mint, do a lock and unlock type bridge with CCIP, which is in-house, than to integrate across. That's why like we need some more time to see what happens, to collect some more data and then accommodate. So that's my kind of feedback.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I feel like with the need for bridging that we are likely going to have now, and the volume that we have in the different chains, I don't think that duplicating kind of the liquidity between two different bridges would be the right choice. And I don't think that it would be the right choice to split the current liquidity between two bridges as well, because then you may have the risk that you don't have enough in neither, right? So probably wise for me to just wait it out. I don't know. I'm one of those. I feel you, Mr. Breakout, because I'm one of those that had the same geo fencing problem. I'm wondering how many other people are having that problem. If we're getting like support tickets often related to bridging issues or not. That might be good feedback if we start having users that have like problems about it. Then yeah, we should do something sooner than later.
I mean, there were a lot of requests for bridging, especially when Assetto put up that geo blocking stuff. But once integrated in the Thales UI, I couldn't see, like, maybe there were one or two, and we just direct them to the page, and they were able to bridge. So I wonder if you're able to bridge, or you should be able to bridge now on the Thales UI, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't see like any more or like a lot of requests anymore for problems or anything like that, since it's integrated, since it's humans.
Yes, well, from my point of view, also I don't see this as the highest priority, since we always have something with more priority in the pipeline, especially with this implementation of seller bridge in Thales application and with CCIP in place. So it's okay to discuss, but I don't see this as first priority to implement.
Cool. Any more feedbacks, or maybe we can hop on the next topic? But yeah, overall the consensus is let's put it on hold a bit and see what happens. Okay. That's it, and thank you, Mr. Breakout. And yeah.
Thank you.
So next in line is basically to hear what you guys think about the Thales wrapped ETH LP incentives in the future. Like right now, the current situation is that we have incentives towards Velodrome, incentives toward Aerodrome in form of bribes. And then we have some Thales rewards on Camelot, on Arbitrum, because we are leveraging their in-house ARB rewards and we are complementing with Thales. And then we have our own in-house rewards in form of Thales plus OP rewards that is locked in Arrakis. So basically, it's 36, I think, percent APR in total at the moment. And out of that, it's 26% APR in Thales and 10% APR in OP. We reduced it recently, but it still has like 1.35 million in TVL, which is okay. And that means that people are comfortable holding Thales paired with ETH for the API that is as low as 36%, which is cool. And yeah, I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on, do you think we should also continue with aggressively tapering these LP rewards? Or are we kind of nearing the status quo where we are comfortable with these emissions? And basically, I also want to hear what you guys think about the situation for the LP pools across chains? Like, where do you see we need to, put in the most attention and to cater to the most liquidity and stuff like that, especially with the new tokenomics?
So I'm not sure if it's a bit like too fast to say like LPs are comfy with 36%. As this reduction was just a few days or it's a week ago now, and I guess there is still a lot of move. And if you look at the pools, there is a lot of shifts between. We still have on Arrow, we have like on the ETH pool, we have like a 63% APY. On the Velo, it's like 37, so there is way closer to the Ruckus one. I would like continue in a couple of weeks again, like what we say, like 7 or 8 weeks to reduce them if we see it kind of stabilize between the pools. But right now there is still a big imbalance, in my opinion, between the pools. And it's also like, especially for Arrow and the Velo pools, it's just dependent on Arrow and Velo price most of the time.
Yeah, and it seems like Camelot is also like not picking up any steam. Like they are emitting Arbitrum rewards, and we are helping out with Thales rewards, and still it's like 84% APR, and it has like 190,000 TVL, which is like nothing. So most of the Arbitrum is basically like protocol on liquidity on Uniswap. We have the protocol on liquidity on Base as well, and also catering some, aero position.
Yeah, and the Camelot, like the 84, is probably not. I mean, like that's the figure it shows in the UI, right? But if you're gonna claim there, it's like locked stuff in token from them, so it's not really like pure APY or APR.
Yeah. And it looks like
I think that I think that Ramses has been taking a lot of TVL lately out of Camelot probably.
Yeah, I wasn't up to speed on a lot of the Arbitrum ecosystem farming and stuff, especially with the STIP rewards kind of, doing some, it's hard to navigate organic good products now that everyone is emitting millions in ARB. So yeah, but it seems like the Camelot is not working a lot, so to say. But yeah, and Aerodrome and Velodrome are kind of holding up well, even though we are bribing smaller amounts. People love to farm those tokens, and seems like our TVLs are holding up there. And yeah, basically my next question would: do you guys think we should where do you see the Thales liquidity being most in demand in the upcoming future? Like, do you still see optimism dominating, or do we see like Base maybe picking up steam, or Arbitrum, or what do you guys think?
I think
the Base. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think incentives are still like the driving force for wherever liquidity goes or wherever trading activity goes. It's the case right now with Arbitrum. But I think that's, just the way DeFi is right now. But overall, I'm also pretty happy with how much volumes we're getting on Optimism despite lowered incentives compared to Arbitrum. So I think, a user activity still sticks to some degree. I wish we would see a bit more on Base, to be honest. I'm not really liking the Base numbers right now. I'm not sure if there's any. I know token is not officially planned on Base, but I'm not sure if part of being the super chain, if anything can be worked out, between Base and Optimism, and if any incentives will ever come to Base. If so, then I think Base would get a lot more attention.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That I think that there is probably very little interest now in Base after they came out, because there's no plan for tokens, so people is not even there trying to use the chain just to farm for airdrops or anything like that. Gas fees are not that much cheaper than Arbitrum or Optimism, so there's no incentive there either to use the chain. I think that probably Optimism is maybe the one where it's more at, if anything, because people are still heavily, voting and locking Velo tokens in Velodrome, just to be, eligible for those optimism airdrops that keep coming periodically. So maybe that's where I still see, continuing Steam, and then probably Arbitrum, but base I'm seeing less and less. So I think, if I had to rank them, I would say I would probably put Optimism first, then Arbitrum, and then base.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like Base is kind of not putting a lot of effort into DeFi and increase in TVL, and basically they're kind of prioritizing right now. I think they want to just be safe based on like their connection with Coinbase. They kind of focusing on art and NFTs and social stuff. We saw with Frentech, and now we are seeing like their focus on account abstraction and onboarding. And I think they will put the DeFi stuff and some Ponzinomics last probably. But yeah, we are also kind of have a good relationship with Base, especially for user onboarding and account abstraction research and brainstorming stuff. So there might be some cool stuff in the pipeline together with Base team and Biconomy and account abstraction stuff. But when it comes to DeFi, TVL, token presence, and stuff like that, maybe they still don't get much hype there. But when it comes to usability, ease of onboarding, some cool stuff with user experience for dApps, then they might become like a force to be reckoned with on that end. That's kind of my view. So, but yeah, when it comes to the Thales token, it makes sense to keep, to not push for any adoption of some network that is like lacking adoption. I think things are going organically. Most of the activity is on optimism. Most of the token stuff is still also majorly focused on optimism, and yeah, but just keep your eyes open on any future advancements for Base, and maybe future Arbitrum grants as well could bootstrap some new stuff. So yeah, but we are mostly focusing on, I think, product and trading, user experience, and that's what I like about our recent approaches. We didn't kind of put much focus on the Thales LP tokenomics. We focused on increasing POL positions, tapering farm rewards, and just focusing on product growth and stuff like that. And now we have the new tokenomics, and it kind of all makes sense. So yeah, I love what we did with that approach, and it's working out so far. And we are not getting any liquidity crunches, and that's great as well. So yeah, that's my thinking.
Yeah, I do agree. And Methodix from Velodrome told me recently that they launched concentrated liquidity on both Velodrome and Aerodrome. So they will submit a TIP next in the following weeks, I think, in order for us to test this new product.
Yeah, let's see. We are always kind of have an open line to them, and they're always like, how they are. They are always eager to promote their stuff and kind of push us in the right direction, so to say. So yeah, if there is anything new and fancy for us to check out, I think we will know in light speed. So yeah, any more comments on the Thales pairs across chains, or let's move on to something more maybe exciting? So yeah, that's it. The next in line is ZK Sync deployment. So we have some alpha leaks that we are really close to let you guys play around with speed markets on ZK Sync, and I think it's surprisingly cheaper than I thought it would be. I mean, it's not dirt cheap, but I fully expected ZK Sync to be abnormally high in fees and not be viable for anyone to play around speed markets. But recent testing and stuff shows that it's not that bad. You can play around similar to other L2s and stuff like that. So I think our developers are kind of working hard to make it happen. And yeah, and I think that will work well in kind of inviting, people to try out ZK Sync. I think the main topic is like, trying to be eligible for the ZK Sync airdrop that everyone is talking about and stuff like that. But yeah, like the speed market is a product that is easily expandable to different chains because PITH is everywhere. Every EVM environment that you can think of, PITH is there, and we could use them for speed markets basically. So yeah, that's kind of what I think no one expected. ZK Sync, like we voted in that TIP a long time ago, but kind of was navigating the difficult technical integration of ZK Sync so far, and now we have the hang of it. And I think soon we will be able to release it on speed markets and ZK Sync, but also we are contemplating about the potential of speed markets being their own product, being their own DApp and front end, to kind of put more emphasis on it. And it makes sense because if we want speed markets to be available on 100 different networks, it makes sense for them to be separated from Thales markets, which are available for 3 or 4 networks, right? So that's also cool. And then it would be also cool to have a fully easy mobile onboarding on speed markets as well, with the help of economy, maybe film some future mobile apps and stuff like that, because it's such a fun and slick product. And we know Big Penny loves it. And I'm also want to hear Big Penny on what is your current global P&L on speed markets for science.
Yeah, tell us about your donations.
Negative. You see, it works. The product works. And he's negative and has fun using it. Nice. I'm joking, but yeah, that's kind of the news with speed markets. And yeah, if you guys have any comments on speed markets, on where you see it going further, any feedback on the product, feel free to kind of engage.
Yeah, speed markets is it's always been probably my favorite in the Thales offering. And the way I see it, that's the kind of product that eventually you might want to have it almost like chain neutral. I can see where, behind the scenes, yeah, you can have the different chains, but from a usability perspective, that would be kind of the perfect product, first of all, to have like a mobile app. And then, you could simply have users create their accounts, deposit whatever, with whatever chain they want, deposit funds, and then trade with one clicks, without having to switch between chains, right? I can see having consolidated liquidity between different chains. You just, you're on ZK Sync, you deposit from ZK Sync, but then when you're trading, you don't have to be on this chain or that other chain to be trading. Whatever you use to deposit your funds, that's staying. But then I can see having one unique pool of liquidity, and that to onboard, mainstream users. I feel that's going to be a big thing. If we could achieve that, that would be like my longer term vision for speed market.
Yeah,
Curious to hear what you guys think about it.
Yeah, but speed markets are kind of still early with getting a sufficient sample size on profitability, and we are still seeing attempts daily about automated strategies, botting and stuff, working on some, people trying to deploy their own automated bots, trying to find a winning recipe for speed markets. That's why the fees are constantly tweaked and stuff like that until we find a perfect spot where it's maybe feasible to allow people to LP into speed markets as well. And so far it's performing, I guess. It's slowly going up. There are bad days, there are good days, but the LP fees are, I think, constantly higher than the negative PNL or the winning rate of the speed markets, which is the only precondition to kind of slowly phase towards opening the LP pools for speed markets as well. But then cross-chain collateral pools, that's a totally different topic and still kind of in still under feasibility and theoretical kind of brainstorming phase where how do one solve that? Like, how do you allow people to share a cross-chain collateral, but balance between chains? Like, if you have between all chains, for example, you have 10 million TVL, but then someone on Arbitrum wants to use a big chunk of that 10 million TVL, but that 10 million TVL is split between 10 different networks, So that's how do you tackle this? Do you have a large collateral buffer that handles this until it's balanced and bridged, or it's difficult, but maybe there is some cross-chain mint and burn messaging of some exotic collateral. I don't know. It's difficult problem to solve, but yeah, that would be a game changer. Because right now I also kind of see that we synced up staking, we synced up the token rewards and the protocol rewards, but we didn't manage to sync up the LP pools of the AMMs for sports markets and digital options. And because that's such a difficult task to solve safely and efficiently, so let's see what happens. So, but that's also interesting to kind of, if speed markets are to have 20 different deployments on 20 different DVM networks, how does one solve this, liquidity? So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is really like product placement. If the idea, if the goal is to market, the speed markets to more like the casual user or the casual trader, then I think it's more about like smaller positions, smaller amounts. But if this is meant to be in the future marketed more to like the pro trader, that obviously it's a different ball game, right? Because the current liquidity is never going to cater to that type of user. But then you're opening up, a huge can of worms when it comes to bot tradings and all of that, and then that can just wreck your LP instantly if it doesn't have the proper safeguards. And I don't think that with that kind of use case, the safeguards can be, trading limits or decreasing fees every once in a while. It has to be more than that. And that's tough, right? That's hard. It requires a much bigger plan. So yeah, I'm all for it, for seeing how it keeps playing out, and keep monitoring usage. I don't know that there is ever going to be a solid way to protect from, to prevent people from trying to create bots. And but there's a fine line there too, right? Because one thing is, somebody with the knowledge, with a strategy, wanting to automate trading. One thing is somebody trying to, exploit potential weaknesses or price differences, things like that, to try to get an edge. That's the kind of stuff that we don't want. But again, it's a fine line to figure out which is which.
Yeah, every derivative protocol
Mhm.
has the same headaches,
Yeah.
like balance between fair marketplace and like fighting against the people like malicious players. That's like that plagued synthetics ever since it was launched, and only now they're kind of figured out the way to tackle those. And again, they just recently had this malicious, market making attack. I think what was the market? I can't recall, but yeah, like synthetic stakers lost like 3 million due to some market manipulation attack of their perps. So yeah, it's just a cost of doing business and constantly optimizing, and it's fluid. So, but yeah, speed markets are doing okay. Like the fact that they are alive so far with such a novel approach, I think it's a testament for how well they are made. So yeah, let's see what happens. But the ZK sync will soon be deployed, I guess, and tested. But let's see if everything goes well. People from the public will be able to play around and test Thales on ZK sync, which is exciting. So yeah, that was also one small topic from this agenda. And yeah, if no one has any more feedback on that, let's close it out with some sync up around the new tokenomics. And for all of you in the audience, I also have some advices and some clarifications, and we can answer some questions as well around some specifics. But yeah, maybe if you guys can give one by one some feedback and some thoughts on the tokenomics V2, what do you think is good about it? What do you think is bad about it? And where can we improve it further? So yeah, Cyberduck.
So I definitely like the tokenomics. I've been compounding the first SUSD or USDC claims into more tails. I think the API is just superb. So yeah, I think I'll keep doing that. Maybe, I mean, as a staker, it's all great and just lovely. But I've been looking at the performance of vaults across the layers, and they're doing particularly really bad. With the exception of maybe two, I think, or three. So I was wondering if taxing 20% on the vaults, if they suddenly have a good round, is just a bit too much. Because I personally have been withdrawing from some of the vaults myself. I just not see it being sustainable to stay in those vaults with any profitable run being taxed 20%. I just think that now the edge is basically not on the vault LP, but it's really the house edge is on tail stakers.
Are you talking specifically about a certain vaults or
Yeah, I'm
in
talking
general
specifically about
between
vaults.
over time?
I'm specifically talking about vaults, not AMM LPs, but the vaults
Okay.
that we have, vaults as a product.
Yeah, seems like vaults for digital options are performing much better than the sports vaults, for example. And yeah, definitely when the time comes, there needs to be like a more focus on the vault product, and to see where to take it from here, like which vaults are feasible, which are not, which are working, which will draw attention, which will not draw attention. So yeah, those are kind of the product of Thales that is kind of down on the priority list of tweaking and stuff like that. It has this automated like strategy that is sticking with it. It's safe, it's not getting wrecked, but it's not exciting, and it's not as successful as it can be, maybe if there are some additional vaults ideas. But yeah, that's good that you reminded us about it, and vaults are definitely somewhere next in line to be adjusted to all the new cool stuff that are happening, especially as they are also a part of the stake new tokenomics, they are getting like 20% cut of any positive round and stuff like that, and also eligible for gamified staking. It makes sense to kind of work on that a bit more in the near future when we are done with the more priority stuff. And yeah,
I was thinking that maybe the vaults would be a good area to experiment with using CCIP to basically just build one large vault that basically funds number of strategies that we find to be relatively well performing.
yeah,
Just a thought.
Yeah, but it all it's kind of it's difficult because CCIP takes like an hour to synchronize. It takes an hour to kind of do the whole cross chain synchronization and receive and send messages back to the destination chains and stuff like that. Especially if you count in some packages of tokens and bridging and stuff like that. So yeah, it needs some thought. That maybe runs into the topic we just touched upon about solving AMM LPs cross chain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we handle that, then we also solve the vaults and the AMM LPs and everything. But yeah, I get what you're saying, that vaults being as really limited and small can be a perfect testing ground for these type of developments. We are kind of pioneering new stuff here. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
And
if
also
the
just
devs are listening, yeah.
Yeah, and also just from like marketing perspective, if you go look at the vaults today and see majority of them in red, just doesn't look good. So I definitely think that we need to do something about the vaults as a product line. Yeah, red user vault, specifically your vault.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Alex, do you have any broader tokenomics feedback?
No, I think we got it covered. Yeah, I have the same feedback on the vaults. I think the probably the most the most disincentivizing thing for somebody that's approaching the vaults for the first time is seeing how inconsistent the returns are across products and across chains. That might be a little, a little scary to somebody that's approaching vaults for the first time. I mean, again, that's just part of the game so far. But I've seen like an outflow from the vaults probably into staking, which is it's not bad per se, but we need to keep an eye on it because at the same time we want the vaults to still have money in it.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. Electric, did you claim your first batch of stables?
Yeah, it looks like it's working, the automated claim through Gelato. I'm happy about that. Yeah, in general, I like it. Sorry?
You can also automate through Chainlink.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, yeah, I like that we are experimenting with the new stuff as one of the first ones. So yeah, like I think we need to wait a few more weeks to see the impact. But so far, I like it.
Cool. Yeah, and we are kind of one of the first integrators into this extent of CCIP, which is amazing. So yeah, Milky.
Yes, so yeah, pretty happy with the launch and everything. I was a bit scared. I had a bit of fear of like a sell-off from some people, especially as the API dropped a bit from like the 110k Thales we spend every week there on inflation for stakers, but it seems to be pretty stable and people enjoy the SUSD rewards, and I would call it there are two strategies right now. There is one to CyberDuck is doing like SUSD to Thales and stake again, or the other one just use the SUSD and put it straight into the LP. That's more my strategy right now to kind of diversify the exposure on different stuff. Pretty happy with it so far, and it was good. About the vaults, pretty similar. I'm happy, lucky that I'm in a vault which is still performing, but there was another one which was actually on, I think, like almost 40% P&L lifetime, couple of months, the discount one, and now we are like on 0 or 3 or 4%. So I agree on that we should focus on that next month or something like that to see what we can do there.
Yeah, the tricky thing of the vault, I always found that, you know, it really, the time that you enter a certain vault can really make it or break it.
Yep.
You enter
If
the
you're gonna
wrong
lose the
epoch,
first
you're
round like
screwed.
7%.
Yeah, it's very hard to come back from a very bad
Yep.
epoch if you happen to enter on a very red one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Svenska and Vladan.
Well, from my side, the most important thing in the first weeks is that everything is okay from technical side. So, but also we saw that we have good weeks for stakers. So with fee share, so everything is good for now.
Yeah, definitely. I think I also am kind of, it blew my expectations as well on the amount of rewards. I expected, I don't know how, but I expected a lot less to have to be claimed. But also one cool, totally a feature, not a bug, is that, you know, there are a good chunk of stakers that do not claim. And if you don't claim, your unclaimed dollars are going into the pool for the next week to be split across all stakers, which means that unclaimed protocol rewards are redistributed for next week and are counted as extra fees gathered for next week, which means like the less active are the stakers and the less they claim, the bigger the rewards for next week, which is like a cool incentive program for the you know, for the active Thales community members. And but yeah, it's better if all people are happy and if everyone automates their claims using Chainlink or Gelato and stuff like that. But you know, for Thales you have to be kind of active, and it's avoiding to be active. That's cool. And that's what I love. I mean, the fees will only increase with the amount of volume, the amount of gains, with the amount of like work being done in overtime V2 and stuff like that. So I think protocol rewards are a big win so far, and let's see how they behave in the upcoming weeks. So yeah, we are kind of focusing on Chainlink automation right now with documentation. Recently, I have to switch up some contracts there because Chainlink changed their registry addresses in their automation architecture. So I merged changes to the Thales docs, and now there are good values, and you know, the guide is again up to date for everyone to accommodate. And also with the recent deployment of the new staking contracts with the new tokenomics, there was also a change in the contract addresses necessary for automation to be executed. So I changed that, and yeah, we should probably announce today from the team side that everyone should check out their automated staking. There was changes with the recent tokenomics, and everyone should tweak their automations to be up to date and be able to claim every week. So yeah. And yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to brief you all council members and the audience, like you should check on your automations, see if they're continuing executing. If not, you need to tweak for the recent contracts and recent guides and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. And I also kind of one cool thing that I noticed that I like is so the protocol rewards get a 20% like a performance fee from every AMMLP pool that was profitable for the week. And that means like every week, like sometimes optimism pools are doing well, sometimes arbitrum pools are doing well, sometimes base pools, and sometimes some are doing bad. But every week there will always be some pool that did really well, and that pool gets a 20% fee share, which goes into the CCIP cross-chain calculation to be distributed among all stakers across all networks. So that's what I like, that there is always be a certain degree of performance fee every week. So that's cool. So that's why I think the CCIP like is a big win, and every week will kind of perform really well. We'll be curious to see how we perform when the sports season kind of dies down on a summertime, but hopefully we reach the growth stage that we also get some action on the summer sports. And also we put some focus on digital option part of the offering, where it might compensate for the lack of sports leagues. We might compensate the protocol rewards with the action on, digital options and speed markets. Who knows where they go?
That's you had me thinking about the summer. So the Euro is coming in the summer for football, which is awesome. But also Olympics are coming, and I wonder what kind of sport markets we can support in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, that would be also. I would be also curious to see what do we get from all the Oracle architecture and what cool new Olympic markets we can get. Like it's super fitting because long ago in 2021, when we first deployed Thales MVP, when Thales launched, Chainlink offered us some Olympics, feeds and medal counts, Oracle's data from back then, if you guys remember. And we had on Ethereum L1 on the order book, we had Olympic medal markets, which was amazing. And right now, we came a long way, and we can probably offer much more cool markets on L2s, on overtime and stuff like that. So it's super fitting to also go hard on the Olympics as well. And maybe we could get some alpha leaks for Thales sports markets / overtime V2 architecture in which are currently being, I think, developed or at least tested, like theoretically. And maybe Vladan can kind of give us some brief alpha leaks on that. And if V2 goes as planned and is working as intended, what will it bring to the table better than the current architecture?
Well, V2 still in draft phase, to be honest. So still a lot of things to consider on that, but definitely will be better for scaling all, for example, sports or different markets under the sports. So we will see, but definitely something that will bring us more volume.
Yes. So scaling architecturally and more offering is how
Yes.
I also found it. But yeah, still very early and still in writing things on paper stage. But yeah, right now everything is fully deployed on chain, and every market is a smart contract, and like as we increase offering, it also increase gas costs and stuff like that. So that is kind of difficult to maintain, especially when gas prices go skyrocket and then you get like months where you get $20,000, $30,000 worth of gas fees required to just maintain the offering on the sports markets. And I think V2 efforts are mostly to tackle that, and also scaling and increase like the efficiency of the architecture and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really excited about that one as well. So yeah, and I think the next governance call on early February, we will put out an agenda in advance. We will put out a announcement properly, and hopefully we get sufficient sample size and be prepared more to discuss with a higher count of attendees to discuss where we are and some cool new TIPs that come up until then. So yeah, I think we breached an hour, and I think that's it for this Gov call, if you guys agree. And yeah, thank you all for joining, I guess. And let's chat again in February 7th at 5 p.m. UTC. And maybe for the end, I'm sorry, we forgot to let Cyberduck talk about Spongely a bit and SNX LP architecture. We didn't hear on that.
Yeah,
yet.
I'll do a quick one. So SNX V3 fails overtime pool. I was asked by the synthetic CCs to defer this to end of Q1, as they are 100% focused on perps V3 experiments, and that's basically their call, as they're funding this. So the work on this will likely get started at the end of Q1, unfortunately. And Spongely, so we had, I think, 2 good months of volumes that were basically killed by the Arbitrum incentives, as we are not live on Arbitrum yet. And as we already discussed on today's call, incentives are everything. So we are currently in a testing phase of deployment to Arbitrum and Base, and I think we'll be launching production on Base and Arbitrum next week, I believe, or latest the week after. We did a couple of UI improvements as well, and are still having quite a nice backlog of improvements to the UI. But overall, things are working. We're just struggling with attracting users for now. We wrote already a proposal for Optimism Growth Grant. I think the next round is starting in a week or two. I think 1st of February are the reviews. So we're hoping to get an OP incentives grant. And if that happens, then that should hopefully help us. We've applied for some dev grants on Base, unfortunately unresponsive there. So our dev budget is kind of depleting, but we're still managing to do some small iterations and improving the product. And yeah, hopefully getting incentives back to our DApp will help us be sustainable for more iterations of the product. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, and OP is also getting like a nice chunk of grants soon. I think they will want to kind of tackle the discrepancy Arbitrum created because of their own large grant program. So I think Optimism will also go aggressive with the grants, and I think Spongely should definitely kind of push hard on that and get like a growth grant to push some adoption on that. And also, feel free to kind of ask in private or whatever to help you out with that.
I mean, we already have the growth grant proposal written up. We asked also for some feedback from Matt on Synthetics Master Mojo, as well as their OP ambassadors, and also involved a lot in that. So I'll probably share that as well with you, Pats, if I haven't already, to get some feedback, and hopefully we'll get support for that.
Yeah, Thales integrators winning is Thales winning as well. So,
and I have a couple ideas for overtime product iteration, not necessarily on the layers we are currently on, I don't want to discuss them out publicly yet, but I might just ping you, Pats, to discuss them privately if you think they have merit. If you think they should be like a proposal that I should write up for the DAO, and potentially I think our team would like to get involved on the dev side of that. So it's not only front end, but it's also some ideas of how to expand the product. Not basically change the existing product, but basically add sort of like a second product line on top of Overtime. But I'll discuss that privately with you first.
Cool. Eager to hear. Exciting. Always love the new ideas.
I'll summarize it. Basically, if you remember Pool Together, where people could participate in a lottery for free. So this would be something similar. If people could bet on Overtime and get their principal back if they lose, but if they win, they get something extra. But I'll discuss that with you.
Sure. Some in-house pull together stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Ship it. And yeah, I think with that banger, we can kind of close out this week's governance call and see you guys back in just above 2 weeks on 7th of February. We'll put out an announcement and promote it a bit harder as next week comes to an end. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you the council members for taking your time, and yeah, let's keep on developing Thales together, and happy claim day tomorrow, I guess. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye bye.